Moseley is a leafy suburb with plenty of green spaces such as public parks and nature reserves. With an increasing population and a growing industrialization, public parks emerged in the 1830s as green lungs for the city to keep citizens healthy. Most of the land for public parks were either purchased by Birmingham City Council or donated as gifts by wealthy locals. Let me take you to two green spaces of great historical interest. Moseley Park Pool is part of the former estate of Moseley Hall, which was rebuilt between 1792 and 1796 for John Taylor, a Birmingham manufacturer. Taylor was one of the founders of Taylor's and Lloyd's Bank. The hall was let for much of the 19th century, and the Moseley Hall estate started to be broken up for housing development. The portion comprising the present park was separated from the residual land surrounding the hall, which was sold to Richard Cadbury, who then donated it to the city of Birmingham as a children's convalescent hospital. More plans were made to divide the land further for more roads and houses. However, a group of local gentlemen opposed these plans and took out a lease from the Taylor estate on what is now the park. They founded the Moseley Park Pool Company Limited in 1898 to protect the land from future development. The park was formally opened by MP Austen Chamberlain on the 29th of September 1899. The access to the park was reserved to key holders and their households on payment of a small fee, initially 1 guinea. This concept is still in use today. In 2006, the limited company was converted to a charitable trust now run by a board of volunteer trustees. The goal was to ensure that the park was maintained as a place where people can relax and enjoy themselves, and a place that children and schools can use for educational purposes. Also, the terms of the trust ensure that the park can never ever be sold. Its popularity continues to grow, not only within Birmingham, but also nationally as a result of the continuing success of the jazz and folk festivals. The Moseley Park Pool boasts an ice house located beside the pool. It was likely built at the end of the 18th century. The ice house is mainly underground but can be located by a mound of earth over the top and a protective fence. The entrance to the ice house is through a narrow passage which opens into the ice chamber. Its purpose was to provide cold storage and ice for the Taylor family of the Moseley Hall. Before invention of the refrigerator, the only way to obtain ice was to use that which formed naturally in cold weather in the winter. The ice was collected from the nearby lake and poured by the barrow load into the deep chamber. The surface of the ice was then covered by sacking, straw, or other insulating materials to help it cold and frozen. It is estimated that up to 20 tons of ice could be accommodated, and the space above would provide a cold storage where food could be stacked on the surface of the ice or hung from the hooks in the roof. From the 17th century, the rich and privileged increasingly built ice houses in the grounds of the large estates in the country, and sometimes actually within town houses, to preserve food and to provide ice for the table, and especially to cool wine.
We left a bit of the brickwork out so that we could show where the cavity is. Below ground level in the ice house, there's a cavity, a 4-inch cavity between two brick skins, so that any water from the outside getting in will run down in this cavity and right down to the bottom of the ice house chamber and out through the drain at the bottom, so that it doesn't contaminate the ice.
It is estimated that around 3,000 ice houses were built in Britain, the majority during the period 1750 and 1875. Most ice houses fell into disuse with the development of the refrigerator and the decline of large country estates, yet in some isolated places, ice houses continued in use even into the 1940s.